Hello everybody, this is Vesa Juvonen from Microsoft, and in this video we're looking into SharePoint agents, which are really there to get efficiently access on all of the information what you have within the Microsoft 365, specifically in documents. Now, every single day we have more than 2 billion documents added on the Microsoft 365 worldwide, which means that there's a lot of information within those files stored within the SharePoint, within the OneDrive, which you can easily access, of course, using the SharePoint UX or using a OneDrive UX. But wouldn't it be really cool that rather than you being forced to trying to find the relevant document and the information from the document, you would be able to ask the relevant ask directly information from Copilot based on your business requirement. So based on the files which you have already uploaded, you're able to ask, for example, which of the products within our product category would be suitable for a specific use case. Or if in the law case, you would be able to ask about the law definition files, and you would be able to get an answer rather than you being forced to actually deep dive within the documents and analyzing the information across multiple files. Or what if you would actually have something like ISO 9000 standards, and you would like to have a quick update or a overview on what are the best practices or avoiding certain mistakes or best practices to follow within your deployment or installation and so on. And that's where SharePoint agents really shine. So the basic idea here is that within a few clicks of a button, with just seriously few clicks on a button, you will actually have an agent within the Copilot, and you're able to ask about the information within the sites, within the files, within a folder, within a library, again, depending on a use case. So in this video, we're going to walk through the experience. How do you actually manage or create the SharePoint agent? How do you manage them? What they are, and how do they actually work, with a few example scenarios. We'll also cover how you can take the SharePoint agents directly into use in the Microsoft Teams, and also really nice trick related on multilingual features which are available in the Copilot as well. So let's jump right into it.
Now, with the Copilot license being enabled, I can use the Copilot to ask about the information within the site. So this is a solar energy site where we also store information about our products within the site. So I can ask something like, tell me about the A200 series solar panel. Let me actually zoom in a bit so you'll see that. And I actually intentionally did a typo there. So the cool thing about LLMs and Copilot is that it's able to, figure out the intent and fix the typos as well. So it's going to understand me even though I'm adding a typos in the text. It's going to still understand my intent to actually get some information around that particular panel product. Now, in this case, we are in solar energy site. This site contains product information, so I can ask about those product things details within here directly. Now, what's cool about the Copilot in SharePoint as well, or the SharePoint agents, is that it actually keeps this context. So when I move between the document libraries, it's aware where I am, and then I can start asking details about this particular topic. So it's scoping down all the time the information. And of course, if I open up a file, it will have the Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot there as well. So the Copilot is aware and available where we are, so it's context aware from the behavior perspective. Now, in our case, we have already the solar energy, which is the default agent, and it actually is saying that automatically here. It is a default agent for within the site, and it was automatically created when the site was created. So every single SharePoint site is also a SharePoint agent, and you can start asking questions about the information within the site, and we're doing a grounding based on the files and information within the site. So it's the responses will be based on the information within the site itself. Now, that's really useful, but that might not be really what you're looking into doing. So let's actually close that one. Let's go to the product specification. So in my case, not a massively big site, but there are quite a few documents, for example, product specification, and then we have customer project information within the site. So here we can see that we have information, for example, A100 series solar panels and A200 series solar panels. So wouldn't it be kind of a cool to have an agent which is specifically for this information, so for these files, which I could then delegate to my sales force, frontline workers moving with the customers, and they can use that agent to ask technical details about our products. And that's what we precisely can do with SharePoint agents. So we can really easily create this specified agents which are configured to really focus on the information specifically on those files which are associated to the agent. So let's actually do that. So let me go to the documents folder. And the product specification is the one which we want to create the agent on. So I will click the folder, and we will see the create an agent option available in the toolkit. So let me actually click that one. And I'm going to open the agent. And we can actually start using the agent immediately in here with product specification. Now, let's actually modify the agent a bit so we can actually adjust that before we have a look on what actually is it. So in our case, as said, we created this agent by clicking the Create a Copilot button in the toolbar. I can give it a name. I can give it a description. This is primarily for the end user to understand what it actually does. Let's give it a bit of a different icon. So let me choose, for example, that icon from there, something related on sun and solars. So that would be fine. And if we go to the sources tab, we can actually see the source information where this is coming from. So now you can notice here that the source is being the solar energy, and the folder being specifically defined at product specification. You can add additional sources, additional sites, up to 20 sources from the information where we are then basing the information or the responses of this agent. Now, if needed, I can also start advanced customization in Copilot Studio, and that is a one-way street, so it's good to understand that. So if I move and transform this SharePoint agent to be a Copilot Studio agent, I cannot move back because the Copilot Studio agents are more advanced. But you can actually do a lot of stuff already with SharePoint agents, which is really, really cool. So let's have a look on that. Now, the behavior tab is also important, and this is basically giving us the information, what we see when we start using the agent, and we can, of course, configure this. This is the instructions, which we can see here. So we could say something like, welcome, and this is an agent around our solar panel products. And we can define here some of the starter prompts. So let me update the starter prompts to be an examples of what we can actually ask from the agent. So for the end users, they will give a kind of an indication on what this agent is capable of doing based on the information what it's being associated to. Now, really important here is the instructions for agent. This is technically, if you are a technical person, this means the system prompt. So we're able to define how the agent should engage with the users, and we're able to change its behavior. In this case, we want the agent to be a specialized expert and technical expert. So let me actually copy the information in here. And let's actually have a look on what did we update as the agent instructions. So role a technical expert on solar panel line of products, be concerns direct, friendly, and professional. Good way of defining how the agent should be behaving. Task act as a tutor who will help the users to learn a product specification. And rules are then explicitly defined as well. Response must be aligned with all the information within your sources, so we don't actually start having a random other information. So that's actually good practice to pinpoint and explicitly tell the agent that no, don't come up with a information from other sources. Just base your facts on the sources which we were defining in the sources tab. Now let me actually save this and we basically are ready to go to start testing the agent. We can do the preview directly in here. So I can say, for example, so FAQ from a 200 solar panels, or what are the specifications for mounted solar panels array for 1500? That's a pretty complicated question. But if I actually ask that, that information is in the source material. And based on the source material, the agent is able to give me the answer. So rather than me going to the source material and trying to find the relevant answer for my question, I can ask my question, and then we have an agent which will actually give and reduce the time to get that information. So you can imagine the amount that we are saving, because now I can ask those specific questions. For example, put a difference between the monocrystal and polycrystal into a table. I don't know what those terms are, but something related on solar panels. Maybe you are more educated on that. But of course, as agent is reading the material, source material, it's able to actually get that information and present that in a table. And you can imagine, for example, salespeople going to meet customers in, let's say, building places or house building locations. And they have this agent and information within their consumption. So again, rather than them opening up the files, they can ask this question directly from agent, which is associating the intelligence directly to the source file information. And that's actually really cool. Now, we can also see here agent is being saved under the folder. We actually saw that here as well. So let me close this window. It is all saved. We are good to go. We can actually see the agent, and agents are actually individual files. And this is really, really cool because they behave like a files as well. So I can share them. I can share them with multiple people so that other people can access on them. I can even loop them into the Teams discussion. I'll come back on that one in a second. And we can open the file. The file itself actually behaves like a file as well. So we even have the version history available. So we can look on who's changing things, if somebody has done modifications, and we can move back on the previous versions because it is a file. And the meaning, the agent being a file has a lot of benefits as well. Now, technically, if you're really technical, you don't, as an end user, you don't need to worry about this one, but it is actually kind of interesting to have a look on this as well. So if we have a look on that file and open that one up in the Visual Studio Code, right now it looks a bit shocking. What is it? What is that? Let me actually adjust that a bit. Let me go to JSON format, and let me actually format the document. And all of a sudden, that complex information which we have in this document starts making a bit more sense. So let me zoom in a bit. We can actually see that it's a JSON file, and JSON is a structural document format where we're using elements and then values for those elements. And as we created this agent and we added the conversation starters, we can actually see the conversation starters in here. You could modify them in here, re-upload the file back on the SharePoint, and it would still work. It would be another instance of the agent. So there's a lot of benefits on this having a file. We can also see the GPT definition being and the source file definitions being available in here, where the agent is getting the source information. And that's really, really cool as well. We can modify the instructions. Potentially, we could create this using APIs or create the JSON file programmatically as well. And potentially, we're looking into having some APIs there in the future, but no promises at this point. No APIs right now to create this file, but you can create this manually and you can modify them using for example, Visual Studio Code. And if you're wondering, what is this all about? Well, that's a bit of a shocking thing. It looks much more complicated than it is. It is actually the icon of the agent within base 64 encoded value. So that's why it actually looks pretty complicated. But we as humans, we don't need to worry about that. That is being just translated as the icon for the agent, which is the one which is visible in here. Good. So that's our agent. Again, we can open the agent, we can have a discussion on it. From here, we can do a lot of other things as well. We can, for example, set the agent as approved. That means that the agent is not only visible for me, it's also set to be approved and visible for other people who are accessing the site. So there's a levels, kind of a set of approval status on the agent. So it's not just for individual usage. It can be accessed by other people in the site level as well. Now, what else can we do with the agents? These are really, really cool things. And of course, in my case, let's go back on the front page of the site. Home here. I actually already have a adaptation of that particular agent set as a one of the approved agents within a site. You can see that in here under the approved for this site, there's a definition. Now in my case, a bit confusing. There's a lot of other test agents available as well, but we have that product agent specification available, which I can select, which is then again giving us details related on the product information within a site. So I can have multiple agents in a single site which have a specific role and specific use case. Rather than if the site has thousands and thousands of files, it's actually really cool to have a specific agents which are really targeted on that special experience, and also think about the instructions for the agents so that they can behave differently. In this case, it's a technical expert on the products, but it can be something else. It can behave and respond in a different mean for the end user. Now, really cool thing about the agents also is not just obviously limited on the SharePoint. So I can actually take these agents with me, for example, in Teams. So if I have frontline workers, or if I'm the frontline worker and I would like to have an easy discussion with this agent when I'm traveling with any device within the world, I can do that easily. So what I chose here, let me do that one more time. In here, we have an option called copy link to Teams. And this is how we then get that agent involved within the Teams discussion. And I click that one, and it's going to copy the link with me. So now I have a link in my clipboard, and I can take it into a use within the Microsoft Teams group chat, for example. And then I'm going to have a discussion with other people and the agent. Now let's actually do that. So in my case, I have quite a few chats available within my project. Here's our Seattle project chat, where we currently have admin, Brad McCabe, DJ, and me within the discussion. And clearly somebody has been a genius in this chat, which isn't that rare given that we have CJ and Brad in the discussion. Beautiful, smart people. Beautiful and smart people. So like everybody within this company. Now, in my case, we want to include that SharePoint agent into this discussion. So you can imagine again that we have a discussion with the people about a customer project, or we want to have a discussion on a building manufacturing, or something where we need to have a specialist which truly understands the details about the product information, and then we can ask about those details in the product information. So I'm going to paste in the link which I got in the chat. And there is our agent. We have the information available. This was already the pre-approved default agent, so the text looks a bit different. But again, that's the one which can be defined for the agent for end users. So let's add in the discussion for giving us insights on the latest product information. Now let's get the agent in the discussion. And there's one more double checking. Agents are not going to jump into discussion without humans actually approving that. So we need to explicitly approve that it's available in the discussion with us. So let's actually do that. And the agent is going to get involved directly within the Microsoft Teams discussion, which I can access using whatever device. As I can access using mobile, I can access that using the tablets, or of course desktop as well. The cool thing about here is that I can start asking questions. So I could ask the same question as what we did with the other agent, and I can say product specification agent. What are the specifications for mounted solar panels array for 1,500 to 2,200 square meter homes? And all of a sudden, we have a specialist which is based on the information, again, on the files, giving us the responses. So rather than me going to the individual files, collecting the information, analyzing the information, I can use our SharePoint agent to work on behalf of us, and I will get the responses directly within the chat. So it's much more efficient way of accessing the information, and we can imagine how much time we are saving by having this agent available as a specialist for us. Or it could be something like, again, the monocrystallized, polycrystallized question. We can ask more information on that. Product specification agent. Put the differences between monocrystallized and polycrystallized into a table, so we're able to compare the different options and the differences between them. And of course, our technical specialist is on site to explain how that can be done. Now, it does not end there. So you saw that the source files are in English, and it's answering the agent is actually answering us in the English. Let me actually zoom out a bit. In this direction, so you can more easily see this. So let's ask a question, one more question. So let's do product specification agent. Can you tell me FAQ on a 200 series panel? My customer is looking into doing that, and of course, it has all of the information. It's incredibly fast. It's a specialist, so it's giving me the facts based on the information which we have inside. And we have the facts around 200 series panel. Now, the source material was in English, so it's answering me in English. However, in the international world, you might be thinking that, okay, what if I will need to get this information in the multilingual format. That's where the LLMs, large language models, are incredibly powerful. So let's actually do that. So let's actually ask from product specification agent. My Swedish is a bit rusty, but kan du tala om produktera. That's not precisely Swedish, 12 years of studying Swedish when I was younger, but it's okay because again, it doesn't matter if we have typos, LLMs and the SharePoint agents and the Copilot is able to understand our intent. And more magically, even though the source material is in English, it's realizing that I'm actually asking the question in Swedish. So therefore, I'm going to get the response back in Swedish. So you can now imagine an environment where we have multilingual employees who are able to ask validated questions, able to ask questions about the product information or guidance, or let's say work guidance, HR information within their native own language, even though the source material is in English and the LLM and the Copilot behind the scenes, LLM is really technical term, but the Copilot behind the scenes, the SharePoint agent, is able to translate the source material directly to another language. And that's incredibly impressive. So now if we do test it with something really hard, which is in Finnish, now I need to really switch my brain to switch to Finnish. Here we go. So that's basically the same question. Can you tell me about A200 series solar panels? With a typo in Finnish, let's see what it actually comes back. But again, the product specification agent detects the language and is then able to answer back within that language on that information. So here we go. Product specification agent is typing and is figuring out what is the intent. And all of a sudden, it translates again that source material be in English. It translates that to be in Finnish. And now, even though I would not be able to read the source material, I'm able to read this in my native language. And that's mind-boggling, isn't it? Really, really cool. Cool. That's all what we're going to do in this demo. Really, really powerful stuff. There's more capabilities, more options, more features coming up on SharePoint agents all the time. But again, already right now, you can imagine how much time we're saving rather than the user going through all of the files within the document libraries or reading and trying to find the relevant information. We have this technical specialist in place, which we created in a matter of minutes with few clicks. We created a technical specialist based on the source material files, which we can then use as the specialist to ask questions without, again, reading all of the documents by ourselves and analyzing the relevant information. SharePoint Agents is here to help. Please to take advantage of that one. And again, have a look on the video notes related on the on-demand pay on the usage options and other options which we announced in the Ignite 2024 for using SharePoint Agents. These are incredibly powerful. Thank you.